iGEM has always been a place of creativity. Whether it be creating a new biobrick, a new metabolic pathway, or a new piece of hardware, we're always creating something new. In the spirit of creativity, let's take a look at some of the side projects we've created over the years. First, it may be worth talking about why we would spend our time and energy making side projects in the first place. Isn't an iGEM team's job simply to build biological systems? Here's Coco Pupat, who was last year's team lead, to tell us about the motivations behind our side projects.
So every year, Wiki does a side project that is typically something like a game or a software component to complement the rest of the project. I kind of like to think of it as project-based or product-based. Something more project-based is about like the science communication of it, maybe like a P&P collab, and then something more product-based is more on the user end of things. So maybe a software, like an app that a consumer would use. But going beyond that, Wiki also integrates with all the other sub-teams because we have to communicate all of the work that all the other teams are doing. And so there's some level of understanding that you have to have of all the other work that's going on the team in order to translate that effectively onto the Wiki and be able to communicate it well. This Wiki side project is kind of the main thing that Wiki works on besides, well, the actual Wiki, but there's so much collaboration and so much interdisciplinarity that Wiki faces, and I think that's something really unique about the sub-team.
Our Wiki team goes above and beyond with these side projects. The work of an iGEM team is never done, and there are just about a million things we could choose. So, how do we actually figure out what we are going to choose as a side project? We might have endless imagination, but not endless time. To give you guys a better sense of how we choose what to spend our time on, here's Eugen Lee, last year's Wiki and Design sub-team lead, and Anthony On, this year's Wiki and Design sub-team lead.
So my first year in Wiki was 2024. Our project was OnCureX, which was a biosynthesis project for breast cancer. So we didn't really have a huge need for software in the hardware side. We had a pretty good bioreactor that didn't really need a too complicated software. So instead, we decided to shift our focus on human practices and education, which is why we developed a side project of OnQ Ninja, which is an educational game. Just like Fruit Ninja, you cut the fruits and it gives you a little fun fact about ursolic acid.
Just about ursolic acid?
Eh?
Was it like a fun fact just about ursolic acid?
I mean, for example.
For context, we started trying the game here.
Oh, it's like a quiz.
So every time
But yeah, because OnCureX wasn't a pretty software heavy project, we decided to focus more on human practices and education, outreach. That was the gold medal criteria we were going for. Oh, on the same note with education and outreach with the OnQ Ninja game, we also created a children's book with PNP. We also translated it in multiple languages so that it's more accessible to the international community. To be more proactive, we went to the Ithaca community such as Science Center or local elementary schools. With the printed books that we made, we read it to the children and were able to interact with the local community. So that was my experience with side projects in 2024 in OnCureX. How was your experience in 2025, Anthony?
Our side project for 2025 was a little bit more needs-based than in 2024. So one of the main things in our project was our hardware. So the bioreactor that we were creating actually needed these like controlling light, heat, pH, all these different factors that need to be controlled for our bioreactor. And they were using Arduino, and so yeah, we needed some sort of interface that we can use to control rather than just like going in constantly and changing the code and things like that. And so because it was a bit more needs-based, we ended up collabing with the PD team to create a user interface for them to be able to control all these different factors. So this was a much more software heavy year where we were working with a lot of Arduino, Bluetooth. Yeah, so our project was much more software heavy for 2025, and we were working specifically with a HM10 Bluetooth module and an Arduino Pro Micro to control our bioreactor. And from there, we had our user interface where you could adjust light, heat, motor speed, things like that could all be controlled for that bioreactor. And on top of that, to kind of continue what we had done in the 2024 season with our outreach, we also created a children's book.
I do remember nights where me, you, and Alex were working in the ELL for that Arduino to work. We were there for 8 hours. I took a time lapse of it.
Yeah.
A lot of trials and errors.
A lot of trial and error. Also because it was pretty much all of our, maybe not necessarily first times working with Arduino, but probably the first serious time we've really worked on Arduino and tried to work on software. So yeah, a lot of trial and error. Took a lot of time.
It took a lot of time. But at the end, it's cool that instead of going in and hard coding the controls to change the setting, Alvin was able to control it from his phone using Bluetooth.
Another big part of why the software was a bit of a big need for our product was we're trying to kind of market our hardware as something sellable or a product, right? And when marketing this, we don't want this to be something that's inconvenient for the user. A big inconvenience that we found was that you have to go back into the code and actually hard code these different controls. You can't really control it, and with that comes a little bit of coding experience, which we can't really expect of all of our users that want to get this product hypothetically, right? And so this is where the software kind of goes to fill in that gap where we're making very intuitive controls that allow the user to just slide a dial and change the level of light that they want in the module, things like that. That makes it much more user-friendly and much more marketable for our product development team.
For the process of choosing what side project Wiki would work on for that year, we try to look at the project as a whole and see where the project could be supplemented. For example, Prosper, we knew that we were building a bioreactor, so we would need a software to complement that. And for OnCureX, we knew that the bioreactor was not too complicated. It could be done without a software component, versus we wanted education to be one of our gold medal criteria, and to better supplement that objective, we chose to do a side project on education and outreach. So side project really depends on the year, where you try to look at the project as a whole in a bigger picture and see where we can supplement, where Wiki can best supplement and collaborate.
Side projects are a reminder that an iGEM team is never just the sum of its assigned deliverables. They're what happens when curiosity gets some room to breathe outside of the core project. And more often than not, that's where some of the most creative and most memorable work ends up coming from. They're proof that a team's imagination doesn't have to stop at what's required. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Up next is a bonus episode about WikiFreeze, so make sure you stay tuned. Until then, stay smart, and I'll see you geniuses soon.